Hello and welcome everybody to the first broadcast of the Umpire School podcast. I'm Dylan. I'm joined by Ayan, David, and Sab. So today we're going to be talking about the recent Pakistan-South Africa game and the upcoming England-India series. But firstly, we're going to discuss a few bits of recent cricketing news. So, Dave.
So I'm David. My bit of cricketing news is the Abu Dhabi T10 League, which seems to be made up of basically all of West Indies. Why are you laughing, Dylan? I find it funny. Anyway, the big play of the day, Nicholas Paran, 89 off 26. He was hitting absolute bombs over the 20-meter boundaries, so that was gone from him. And
controversial wicket.
Oh yeah, it was a controversial wicket. I mean, the court was debatable, I guess we could say. You can search that up for yourselves if you want to see it. And yeah, they got 162, and then the other team just failed, really. So watch the Abu Dhabi T10 League. Got big sixes. Sab?
So yeah, my news is about the Australian stars who may not be playing in the 100. So it's already taken massive hits, obviously due to Corona, and now many of the stars cannot play because of the extended quarantine that they have to go through, especially since they have a white ball tour in the West Indies that ends on July the 26th. So we may not.
Wait, what kind of stars?
So you got Steve Smith, Finch, Warner, Stark. So most of the big names.
Okay, so not stars, just players. Fairs. Go on.
Yeah. So you
a lot of Welsh Fire players.
We're not going to see that many A-list cricketers playing in overseas.
Smith and Stark. That's the core of the Welsh Fire team gone.
Big loss.
Yeah.
Why is it the Welsh Fire? Wait, Dylan, do you know why it's called the Welsh Fire?
No.
Because do you know what you do when you slaughter sheep? You cook them over the fire. Do you know what Wales have a lot of sheep? That was slightly awful, but
alright, let's move on.
Yeah.
My news is that the first neutral umpire in the COVID era, Richard Illingworth, will this week be umpiring a test between Bangladesh and the West Indies. That's because Bangladesh don't actually have an elite panel umpire. So Richard Illingworth is coming in to, as I said, become the first neutral umpire in the COVID era to do it. Notably, however, in the upcoming India-England series, there will still be non-neutral umpires, so all the umpires in that will be Indian. I guess.
So just before we carry on, I don't know if they know, but in the Bangladesh Windies Test series, the Windies are without a lot of their key players due to them not wanting to go into the biosecure bubble. Yeah, so they've got very few unknowns, a couple of wild cards.
Who's their captain, David?
It's Craig Brathwaite,
Oh yeah.
who's stepping in for Jason Holder. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about the Big Bash briefly. James Vince scored a very good 98, but it was unfortunately overshadowed by...
Decent.
Decent knock. Unfortunately overshadowed by an AJ tie wide, which cost him 100.
Oh, do you think it was on purpose? Do you think it was a bit of
I don't know. I don't think it was, but I wouldn't have been surprised.
Didn't the other batsman block out the previous over just to give him
exactly.
as well?
Big Daniel Hughes blocked out the last three balls of that over.
Vince seemed to think it might have been on purpose.
Yeah.
From what
Vince was pissed off. Did you see the staring?
Yeah, he was angry.
Yeah.
But he said stuff like it practically bounced by his feet. So I'm pretty sure he thinks he did it on purpose.
Wait, what does he even mean by it bounced by his feet? Like, I don't actually get
that. As if he was trying to bowl a wide, I guess.
Maybe means the second bounce.
By AJ Ty's feet, not his feet.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I've got one more briefly. Also with
go for it.
Mitch Marsh getting fined for talking back to the umpire after getting dismissed in the Scorchers game.
To be fair,
it was shocking. It was shocking dismissal.
Terrible.
I mean, the umpiring's just been terrible throughout.
Yeah, did you see the Khawaja LBW?
I mean, it was hitting middle, and the ump's like, nah, it's going over the top, son. It's like,
Yeah, I mean that was.
I mean, it's like so easily, like there's a massive solution. It's just DRS. I mean, all the Aussie grounds have it. It's just easy to get it in usage, and
Why do
they
you think
just.
they don't use it? Is it because like kind of fast-paced T20 or?
I think that's an element, but I think also they said something about like undermining the umpires. But then if that's the case, then why do they use DRS in test matches? So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
undermining the umpires? I mean, if they're rubbish, undermine them. I mean,
Do you reckon
Yeah.
it's possible in the future where we have like games with no umpires at all? Just like
No.
just
Nah,
completely.
they'd be
not,
carnage on
not at least for the
fields.
very like long future. I mean,
Yeah.
in the BBL, there's this one umpire who I've seen consistent making the wrong decisions. It's like I don't know his name obviously, but he's quite a tall bloke, and he's
Can I get
he is
Blake
literally
checking, please?
Blake.
okay, let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah, we'll move on to. So now we're going to talk about the most recent Pakistan-South Africa game. So Pakistan wrapped up a 7-wicket win. Most notably, Fawad Alam scored 100, and probably the only positive for South Africa was Rabada got to 200 wickets and became the third fastest ball-wise to achieve that. So, David, your thoughts?
Yeah. As the resident South African in the group, I have to say our overall performance was just rubbish. I mean, apart from the GOAT Markram getting basically a ton on the fourth innings. I mean, it was 74, but this is basically a ton. And Russie getting a good 60 odd. There wasn't really much to speak of. The bowling was basically left arm or right arm pie, no matter which way you looked at it. And yeah, I mean, the fielding was decent. I don't think we did too much wrong in the field. I mean, Ayan's probably going to speak more about the Pakistan fielding in a second, but yeah, in terms of bowling, you know, ever since we had them 33 for 4 at the end of day one, it just went to pot, and you know, we were bowling a good ball maybe once or twice and over, when in Test cricket you need to be 5, maybe even 6 and over at that level. So yeah, nothing went well for us. Probably looking to improve and probably change our team a bit for the second test. But Ayan?
Yeah, obviously, from my point of view, I'm really happy with the result. I've said before, I think it was just such a good all-round team performance where everyone chipped in at some point. Obviously, the biggest performances were Fawad Alam's century that got him man of the match, but also the two spinners both taking 7 wickets each in the match. Yasser Shah looked like he's turned the clock back a bit and found some of the form he had in years gone by. And we've stumbled upon this new seemingly 50-year-old spinner who bowls left arm pure magic. That's what I'd say.
Ayan, why do you think your spinners are more successful than the South African ones?
Can I take that one? Can I take that one?
Lind obviously not getting many wickets.
Well, I mean, it boils down to us being crap.
Yeah.
And essentially, Keshav Maharaj, like, he's got a decent test record, but for somebody who's our main test spinner, and we're going to subcontinent, and we need, you know, someone to step up in those kind of conditions, he's really not pulling off for us. I mean, even in India a year ago, I mean, he was pulling off 2 or 3, but for like 150 runs, and it's just not what you need from your premier spinner. And the Pakistan bowlers obviously grew up in the conditions, but I mean, they completely outbowled our spinners in every single way. I mean, they built pressure, they bowled good balls in good areas. You know, they had fielders around the bat, and you know, obviously in those conditions, the chances are going to come. And credit to Pakistan, they took some amazing catches as well. So.
Yeah, I'll just add on that. Like, our spinners could only take those wickets and bowl so well because of the confidence that I think our fielders created. You know, you can look at our openers and go like they didn't really add much to the scorecard, Abid Ali and Imran, but they both took 2 important and good catches each, particularly. But on the first day, set the tone really well. So the fielding was a massive positive for me, especially coming from that New Zealand series where we dropped Henry Nicholls like 7 times in one innings. So yeah, that was the best part of the performance for me, for sure.
I'd also say that I don't know if you saw this either, Ian, but like progressing through the test match, I thought Babar Azam's captaincy got better, his field placement especially.
Yeah.
And you know, Quinton de Kock, he really hasn't, you know, gone into his position well so far, and it's quite clearly affected both his keeping and his batting. And in my personal opinion, the quicker they can get the captaincy off him and to someone more, more senior in the squad, probably like Elgar, the better he'll do. Because at the moment he's not really.
His reviewing.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of allow the reviews because everyone has a bad review day here and there. But I mean, if you just saw his batting, he clearly wasn't there.
When he I can't remember who the batsman was when he hit him on his back. That was clearly not out.
True. But, I mean,
at that point.
I know, but when they need 88 to win, it's like you got to review.
I mean, he was unsuccessful with all of his reviews, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how you can work on reviewing, I guess, but
experience.
I mean, it's
experience,
yeah. But yeah.
You won't have it for much longer.
But where do you think he should bat? Because
that's been a bit of a debate.
He's at best batting at 7, but obviously I don't see him.
I wouldn't say 7. I wouldn't say 7, but I definitely wouldn't say 5. I'd say 6. I mean, if you look at his Test record. I definitely put Bavuma above him. I mean, I mean, as you guys know, I haven't been the biggest fan of Bavuma over his career so far, but he does have a solid technique. And I think, especially against the harder ball, he'd be more of an asset to us higher up the order than De Kock is, because De Kock's known as that explosive Adam Gilchrist type.
Yeah.
Lower down the order, and I definitely put Bavuma above him, like 100%.
But you also want your last batsman to be that aggressive type.
I mean, we've all also been searching for that all-rounder since Cullis retired. So if if Linda or like Vian Mulder came good at 7, then I don't really see an issue with De Kock batting at 6, because we'll have that batting to come later on. Yeah. So I think his ideal position is 6. I mean, we still have to find that all-rounder there. You're right.
Any predictions for the second test?
I'd like to say it'd be closer, but I still think we might get steamrolled.
I mean, I still
series.
think it's a really even one in my opinion. We weren't dominating the whole test or anything. It came down to one period, I feel, when they had us 4 down very cheaply, where they weren't able to capitalise on that situation, and I think that's where we took the game away from them. But up till that point, it was a really tightly contested game, I feel. So I still expect a really close second game.
Same team for you, Ian?
Yeah, unchanged for me, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, Shamsi comes in, that left arm leggy option, turning.
Now, Dave, am I right in saying that you were quite unhappy with Shamsi being selected for the first test? Quite against the idea.
To begin with, yes.
To the point where you wouldn't watch the test if he was playing.
there's potential that I said that. However, seeing how Ngidi bowled, or lack of bowling, right on Umpire.
Well, no,
then,
I mean, I remember Ian saying he bowled quite well, but I didn't watch enough.
Because he had this one spell where he bowled good reverse swing, but apart from that, he's really not suited to the conditions. So I take Shamsi in every day of the week. Combat your left-handed. 3 spinners. Linda stays in. The batting goes unchanged. I say for me that's the only change.
Maybe Rafi chucks him down if needed.
I don't think Rafi bowls, mate.
Well, it'd be Markram.
Markram is. Markram is criminally.
Maybe Elgar as well. Give him a few.
Oh, fun fact: Elgar's just been Steve Smith twice.
Yeah.
What's the situation with Elgar's hand? Does anyone?
Well, they said the scans came back and he's not fractured any fingers, so that's good. So I'd imagine he's fit for the second test. But
tough man.
He is, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we move on
So, do you want to move on to
England,
the England-India series? Yeah.
Yeah. Starts on
talk about the
Friday.
squad first.
Yeah. Sab,
squads,
what's your India team?
My India 11. Okay.
What?
So I mean, I think we've all got Gilroy here up top. To start off with.
Yeah. Shall we do it position by position?
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Openers then. We've all got Gilroy here.
Honestly, realistically, I think we all have the same top 6.
Yeah.
Right?
Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Pant.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought Mayank would be an interesting one at 5.
Who would you take out? You would take
I mean,
out
I know Rahane will definitely play, but I'd personally put Mayank in. But
like Rahane, I mean, he did get a century in Australia, so he's in better form than Mayank.
I know, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
It's
I
a bit
don't
unfair
think
that a guy who basically averages like high 40s, which Mayank does, isn't in our team. But like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, and people don't realize, but Mayank averages 99.5 in India. I mean,
Yeah,
he's got a
exactly.
double ton, and
That's true.
he's very good in India. And for me personally, I know Dylan feels the same. Rahane just really hasn't cut it in recent years. You know, he got that
I
100
think-
in Australia, but
I feel
I
like he
think
has been
Rahane's-
improving though recently.
Also, I think Rahane's presence on the pitch
Yeah,
is
definitely.
just important for the team.
Yeah.
That's true.
I do think that he's,
He has a huge
besides
influence.
Kohli, perhaps when Kohli's playing, he's the
He's the balance to
biggest leader
Kohli,
in
I'd
the
say.
team.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I
sure, yeah.
I know I told you this earlier, but I said if I have Rahane playing, he's my captain as well. I mean, obviously that won't happen. I mean, I don't see the
Yeah, no,
India
yeah,
team
yeah,
I do
making
back it though. I do back it.
Yeah, same,
Yeah.
yeah.
because I don't. I
I
think
was definitely impressed by his
Kohli.
captaincy in the Australia series.
Yeah, I mean, his captaincy was brilliant. I mean, there's no two ways around it. It was just fantastic.
So, 7.
Anyway,
Yeah,
That's
so-
This
7.
is where it might get interesting.
So I've got
Seven.
Cinder, but I don't think any of you have him.
I've got-
I have
I've got
Hardik Pandya.
I've
Yeah.
got Hardik Pandya.
I've got Hardik as
Okay,
well.
so you've also because I remember Ian and Dylan didn't have him earlier, so you guys have switched to him.
I did have him. I've
Oh,
always
okay.
had him.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
see, I obviously get why you put him in, but I'm not sure how effective he will be with the ball, especially since he hasn't bowled in a long time.
The thing is, I mean, we're going to get onto this later, but Hardik Pandya is also my wild card for the series. And what I will say is that what many people won't know is that even though he's only played 11 tests so far, his test bowling record is actually better than Stokes. Only just, but it is better than Stokes.
How many is he
And
played
he
at home,
does-
though?
I think it's 5 or 6. Half of them he's played at home.
Okay.
And his batting average in India is also 71, which is actually better than Kohli's at the moment.
Obviously,
and with his
shorter span of games.
Obviously a shorter span, but I mean, and then with his potential to hit absolute bombs off of bloody Dom Bess.
Yeah, but we already have Rishab for that.
And I'd like Hardik. I just like him in the team. He's nice, helps the balance a bit.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean,
Yeah, I think it's the balance.
I mean, I
which
was
is why
definitely
he
playing
gets to
two
play.
spinners, so I was definitely going to play Sundar and Ashwin. So
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I should probably say at this point, I do have Sundar at 8.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
It's not like he's not in my team.
Wait,
Yeah, I've
Dylan?
got Sundar.
Okay.
Yeah,
David.
I think. Wait, do we all have Sundar?
I don't have Sundar. I've
but
actually
you
put
played
Kohli.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Fine, yeah.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
two
so I'm
spinners,
playing-
everyone's gone with 2 spinners.
Yeah, so I'm playing Ashwin and Kuldeep. I'm guessing you guys are playing Ashwin and Sundar.
Yeah.
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 I
Just-
don't mind the
No.
Kuldeep Ashwin because it's a bit of difference. I mean, we've got 2 off-spinners in our
So who
team.
do you have at 8 then, Sab?
I have Shardul Thacker, but I mean, obviously, now that I think about it,
Alright,
probably
yeah.
it's between him and Hardik. Well, obviously, Hardik would go 7, but.
What I will also say, just for the viewers, disclaimer: we're not snubbing Jadeja. He's injured for the first 2 tests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
This
is only
is
the
based on
first
everyone who's like
test.
available to play.
We
Yeah,
are
this is
snubbing
the first
Prithvi,
test.
though. He's rubbish.
Who?
Prithvi.
He stinks. He stinks. And also, this is
Prithvi.
what we
Well-
think it should be. No way, it actually will be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we've got Siraj and Bumrah, right?
Yeah.
I've got Siraj.
And Ashwin.
That's what I've
and
gone with.
Ashwin as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so everyone's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Cool.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
so-
was thinking about going with Ishant Sharma for the experience, but I mean,
Yeah.
Siraj had such a good Australia tour.
Mm.
It's hard to leave him out.
I definitely
Yeah.
think Ishan will play at some point in the series, probably over.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Like they'll rest him, but I definitely think the
When-
first one Siraj will
Yeah,
play.
they'll do a lot of rotations.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think when
that's what
I think
Jadeja,
I think they were the report saying Bumrah would like have to sit out and kind of take a break as well.
Yeah,
I
he's
was-
coming back from injury, so
Yeah.
it would be
Yeah.
sensible to rotate him at some
I
point.
think
Yeah, both
when
teams will rotate.
when or if Jadeja comes back, Sundar or Kuldeep
Sundar,
make way immediately.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah.
England team.
Okay,
England, yeah.
I think we have a lot of differences in our England team
yeah,
between
England's
us.
more
So
variable.
So
I think for this, instead of going position, I thought we'll just go straight team because it's just so different.
okay,
So Ian, you can go first.
okay, so I'm opening with Burns and Sibley. Crawley then moves to 3. Root at 4. Stokes comes back in at 5. So Lawrence at 6. Then I've removed Josh Butler for Ben Fuchs at 7. Moeen Ali at 8. Jofra Archer at 9. Leach at 10. And Anderson at 11. I would just clarify, I fully expect Butler to play,
Mm.
but I would play Folks. Firstly, because I think he's a far better keeper. I know Butler had a good series keeping in Sri Lanka, but I'm not that confident in his keeping ability. Secondly,
Yeah.
Butler's leaving after the first test regardless.
Mm.
So I'd say just give the first couple of games to Folks and see how he does before Besto comes back in.
Okay. So I've got Sibley and Crawley opening. Lawrence at 3. Root 4. Stokes 5. I've also got Folks in instead of Butler, like Ian at 6. Moeen Ali at 7. Dom Bess at 8. Archer 9. Leach 10. Anderson 11. Now, I've gone with Folks for the same reasons as Ian. He is the premier wicketkeeper in English cricket at the moment, and to deal with those situations, you need your best wicketkeeper on there. And as we've seen in
It's
the
been
Sri
a while
Lanka
since he's
tours,
played though, hasn't it?
yeah, but I mean, you don't really lose that ability over 6 months. It just doesn't happen. He's still the best wicketkeeper in the country, and you've seen with his batting skills in Sri Lanka in 2018, he has the ability to score big hundreds. Yeah, so that's why he's in for me. Another controversial one. I'm not playing Rory Burns. My reason being he's coming off a long layoff. I mean, he didn't play in the Sri Lanka series. And as we saw in the Ashes in 2019, he was susceptible to Nathan Lyon in not very spinning conditions in England.
Ross
So I
and
don't
Chase
think
as
it was
well.
fair.
Ross
Ross and Chase, well, yeah, getting
Yeah.
8 for 2 in bloody like non-spinning conditions.
That's true, wicked.
Yeah. So
Should
yeah,
I say?
I don't have him in.
Should I say why I do have him?
Yeah, go for it. Go.
So the reason I've gone with him is because I feel England's openers were bad in Sri Lanka. Like
Yeah, they definitely
apart
struggled
from
against Embledon.
Sibley
Yeah.
on, apart from Sibley on basically the last day of the tour, they were both like scored next to nothing.
Very average, yeah.
In the summer though, Crawley did have a fair bit of success at 3, so I think he does bat best at 3.
267 is a bit more than fair.
Fair bit of success.
Sure. He had a lot. Well, yeah, no, he had a lot of success. So
Yeah.
I prefer him at 3, and so Burns opening for me.
Yeah.
So what are your 11s then? Like, well,
I'll just go through mine quickly.
Yeah, just go through it.
Sibley, Crawley, Root at 3, Lawrence at 4, Stokes at 5, Butler 6, Moeen, Bess, Archer, Broad, Leach. So I went with Broad instead of Anderson.
Yeah, so I had Sibley, Burns, Crawley, Root, Stokes, Lawrence. I had Butler. I think as an England fan, I'm a bit more hopeful about this series than others are.
I do think
I
Butler
just think-
will come good actually.
Yeah, I think Butler's playing really well at the moment. I'm just going to try and see how. We just want to try and win the first test. Don't worry about the later ones. And I've got Bess. I'm not a big believer
Win
in
the first
Bess,
test.
but
I mean, England are notoriously crap in the first test.
To be
Like,
fair, we
Yeah,
might
you
be
just
kind of
gotta-
on the rush of the victory in the series, so if they're going to beat us, it'd be in this first test, I reckon.
Yeah.
yeah, Bess. Yeah, he's not great, but I don't think Moeen's the answer, as you all know. I've got Leach as well. Leach 9, Jofra 10, and Jimmy at 11. Obviously, Jimmy and Broad will rotate a bit, so I'm assuming Jofra will rotate around as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah,
and Mark Wood will probably come in the last 2.
I'd say they
second
play a
two.
combination of like one of Archer and Wood and one of Broad and Anderson.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's what they will do.
For the
Right.
seamer.
They've essentially got 2 groups of seamers. You know,
Yeah,
the
the
Wokes,
swingers.
Anderson, Broad, and
Yeah.
Boone, Archer, Wood.
Wokes won't play. Wokes
Wokes
not.
definitely won't play.
I think I may cry if Wokes plays.
What's Wokes' stats? He gets what on
Who
average?
knows, he
Like
could surprise us. He could
He
surprise us.
After 600.
averages 50.
Yeah.
His bowling
50
average
overseas,
away is
20 at
22,
home.
yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
very good at home. Well, less good.
So, should we
yeah.
go? Should we... Yeah.
Sab and David went with 3 spinners, interestingly.
Yeah.
Me and Dylan went with 2. Obviously, I'm the only one without Best, therefore, and Dylan's the only one without Moe. I guess, so me and Dylan have played an extra batsman, I think that's what
Yeah,
it
because
means.
you've
I
got
think
those
you two have
two
Burns and
you
we
two have
don't.
Burns, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But
that's
also,
what it is.
my reasoning
yeah, I
is
just-
the spinners are kind of semi-all-rounders as well, Moeen and Bess. They can both bat, so that's why I've kind of allowed.
I've not put Best in because I think he'll just get taken apart completely.
Yeah.
I went
There's
with
a
Bess.
good chance of that.
uh,
There's a very good chance of that, but who knows? He may surprise us. I feel
Yeah,
like he's
I'd
not
say
very
this,
consistent from what I've seen of him. Like he bowls a lot
Yeah.
of bad
He-
balls.
He bowls 2-3 bad balls in
Yeah.
it for like consistently. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think with the tail, when we had Sam Curran Curran was back at 7 in the Sri Lanka series, and that was just not good. Like, we won't beat India with Curran or whoever, someone that quality at 7. You need an extra batsman.
Yeah.
So yeah,
can I just ask you something, Dylan? Does the fact that Moeen averages like 42 in India not tempt you a bit into picking him?
no, because it was like 3 games, but he also averages in that it was one series. He also averaged 60 odd with the ball. So if anything, like he'd be
Fine.
playing with a
I feel like
batsman.
his
just
current form also matters as well. So like those stats may not be a true reflection of how he is.
Yeah, it was ages ago. It was like I want to say 2016.
He did bowl well against India in England the last
Yeah,
time
yeah,
India came.
yeah. So Ayan, player of the series.
The player of the series for me was quite an easy decision. You know, as a wise man once said, I don't deal in if buts and maybes, I deal in absolutes. Rohit Sharma, let me tell you.
My mum's Wenger in. Is she dumb?
Is she mad?
Okay. Rohit Sharma, let me
I don't deal with if
let me
buts and
talk about
babies.
Rohit Sharma. Okay. At home, Rohit averages 88.
Oh yeah.
As an opener, he averages around 70. And his average since 2019 is 68.5. So I think he's going to have an amazing
But Ian, could he handle South Africa back in 2019? Yeah, he could. To be fair, he could.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Rohit, I think we should move on from here. So I'll just say Rohit's my pick for player of the series.
Okay, I'll go. So I've gone for the king, the goat, the legend. I've gone for Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
I've gone for Virat Kohli.
Well.
I don't need to say much, but I'll say a few things. He's played 39 tests at home and he averages 68. He's got 1300s, 1050s. He dominated every single team that's come onto India's shores since he's made his test debut. I don't see him doing any different in this England series.
Yeah, Sad.
Yep. So my player of the series is Shubman Gill. So obviously had a very nice knock in the last game, and a very talented opener, and some stats in first class. He averages 70.3, which is obviously very high. Obviously the domestic cricket in India is very big, so the quality isn't as high. But even then, the conditions. Whoa! What's that? Why are you laughing?
So half the time, okay, I might get actual abuse for this, but in the Ranji Trophy, sometimes we come against Uttar Pradesh, right? And they'll have a 13-year-old leggy who bowls left arm absolute pie. Okay? That's all I'm gonna say.
So Chinaman then.
Just no pie.
Okay.
Okay, come on.
Okay, fine, but still, that's extremely high, 70 average, and also
Yeah.
Test cricket averages 50, 51.8 actually.
In
So
one
obviously
series.
very promising. Well, yeah, but
One
he's in good.
series
He's in
against
good
Pat
form.
Cummins.
But even in
Yeah,
first
well,
class, he's played 24 games. He's got 19 50s and 100s already. So definitely.
What I will
very
say,
quality.
I'm not hating on the Gill. I was this close to putting Gill as my player of the series as well.
Yeah.
So
I heard in the cracks that David Justice wanted him as his player of the series as well.
yeah, and then I heard also in the cracks that a certain Ganesh stole him from me.
Interesting.
Alright, Dylan, your player of the series.
My player of the series, Joe Root, because listen. Since I haven't been his biggest fan recently, I just don't think he's been all that. Probably 2016 to 2020. However, that series against Sri Lanka was the best I've seen him for years since 2014 on the average.
Didn't it was Sri Lanka.
Yeah, but Embaldini.
Fab, don't disrespect.
Embaldini
Yeah,
was great.
come on, he batted well, let's be honest.
Embaldini
fine,
was
yeah.
amazing against everyone except Root. Root was just the best I've seen him. Sweeps, reverse sweeps, just playing all round good cricket. Obviously 200 he scored, 180. I still have questions about his captaincy, but his batting is definitely back what it used to be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, so do you want to move on to wildcards then?
Cards, yeah. Should I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah, so as I alluded to earlier, Hardik Pandya is my wild card. And yeah, I've basically said all my information already. He is an explosive batsman at 7, averages 70 at home, better test bowling record than Ben Stokes. He got 5 when India went over to England in 2018. I know he's coming off a back injury and hasn't bowled loads of overs recently. I don't think he bowled in the IPL until probably 12th or 13th game.
He barely bowled at all, really.
I think his first over was in the 12th game for the Mumbai Indians. But that said, he provides that fifth bowler option for India, which they desperately need after Jadeja's injury. And I've also picked him mostly for his batting, quick fire 50s, 60s, and he has 100 to boast about as well. So yeah, he's my wild card. Someone you should.
Oh, me? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
My wild card, so it's kind of between Thacker and Lawrence at the moment, but I think I'm leaning towards Thacker. Obviously, surprised everyone with a bat in Australia with a good 60. Some of the shots he played were absolutely exquisite, like beautiful, and the audacity to hit a 6 to get his 50 as well. So he's definitely, he's like one of those players who's got like a lot of fight. So I see him like really doing well, and obviously he's also a pretty decent bowler. Not the best bowler, but I feel like with the added batting and his bowling probably in home conditions a bit better, I think he could do very well. So yeah.
Yeah, he's just someone who's like an English fan I'm not that scared of, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, I
I
think
just
he's the
don't-
kind of person who you underestimate.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
I think he's very much your, potential 2 for and 30 with the bat kind
Yeah.
of consistent.
Yeah. Just like a solid contribution, but he's not.
But he has the potential
He's not
to
going
really
to tear us
surprise
apart.
everyone, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan?
All right, I've gone with Rory Burns, as I said earlier. I just think he's under pressure a lot at the moment, like he was before the Ashes. I just think he's going to deliver again. It's just a gut feel, really. He may struggle a lot against Ashwin. Roston Chase is no Ravi Ashwin, and he had massive issues against him. But it's just my gut feel, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've gone with Jack Leach, and the
Interesting.
main reason I've done that is because India's top 5 and potentially 6, depending on where Rishabh Pant bats, will all be right-handers. So
Yeah.
I think he may have a good deal of success against them, and he's traditionally been good against top orders in the past as well. He's picked up 32% of his wickets from against batsmen 1 to 3. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does cause a bit of trouble for Rohit Gill and Pujara, if that is the top 3 that we think it will be. So yeah, he's my pick, and I think we'll have a decent series.
I do feel he slept on a bit because, I mean, he's not the greatest bowler,
I
but
think-
he averages like 13. So yeah, he's just a solid bowler.
I think he's been unfortunate because apart from in Sri Lanka, he hasn't really bowled in conditions that have suited a spinner too much.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played in England and South Africa, which aren't exactly bowler-friendly conditions. But
Obviously,
from what we
those
saw in the
conditions
Sri Lanka
were very
series,
different. Sorry.
yeah, and from what we saw in the Sri Lanka series, I mean, he was the pick of the bowlers for me. Like overall, I mean, obviously Broad, Anderson, Best, they had their moments, but just overall, over the 4 innings, Leach was the standout. So I see him carrying his form into the India series as well.
Would you say he was better than Emil?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was better than Embledinier, but he was a close.
no way.
Exactly. So that's why I'd say I don't see him doing that well.
Where Embledinier was amazing that series, like not doing what Embledinier did isn't like a criticism. That's just
Yeah. But I feel like against the
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
opposition, I don't see him like if he wasn't able to do it against Lanka, I don't see him doing it against.
Well,
India.
he hadn't bowled in any form of first-class cricket for a long time before that
Yeah,
Sri
for a
Lanka
while.
series.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see a better version of him in India than against Sri Lanka. But he was quite good against Sri Lanka. still. So I think he will.
Yeah, no,
be
Yeah,
I
good.
don't
26.
think I doubt that he was definitely good. But I don't know if I completely think he'll be like that kind of wildcard player. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, on to letdowns
Move on to
then. Who wants to go
Should I
first?
go first? I'll go first again. Another controversial. I've gone for Benjamin Stokes, England's talisman. Yeah, so he's come. Obviously, he hasn't. But he didn't play in the Sri Lanka series. He was rested. And he's coming on. I don't think he's played any sort of cricket since the IPL. I might be wrong.
I don't
But-
think he has. No.
If someone corrects me, that's fine. But I don't think he has. So that's a good few months out of the game. In just looking in India, he hasn't done anything special. I mean, average is under 40 off the bat. With the ball, he's been nothing spectacular at all. Averaging 45. He's picked 8 wickets in 5 games. I mean, there's really nothing to write home about. And I mean, he's a left-hander. Ravi Ashwin, he dominates left-handers. Doesn't matter who you are, he absolutely dominates. And I don't see Stokes doing much this series. I see him playing every game. I mean, you can't drop him, but I don't see him doing anything.
I feel like
Fair
there's a lot
enough.
of hype around him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
So
surprised if he
there's a
disappoints.
big potential for a disappointment because he's so hyped.
But- I think he's too good to have a bad series. I think he'll either be good with the bat or the ball, but I can see him not living up to his 2019, 2020.
I
Alright,
I
Seb.
can see how good he could be with the ball, to be honest. But I'd say if he's going to do well, probably more with batting. Okay,
Right,
Yeah.
who's next?
Should I go?
Yeah, you
for
go.
it.
Yeah.
I've got one that's a controversial, one that's less. I'll go with the less controversial, is Rahane. So obviously we've all said that we kind of think he hasn't been in the best form recently, and obviously if he wasn't vice captain, he probably wouldn't be in the team. I definitely think he brings a lot to the team, but I think in terms of performance, I don't know how good he'll be compared to everyone else, especially with a decent England bowling attack. So that's like the less controversial. Then you have Archer, so I think could potentially be a letdown, because obviously there is hype around him and he is a very good bowler. But
Oh, he's gone for the double.
yeah, I mean,
You
so-
had one job, Sab.
I'm sorry.
One letdown.
That pick one let down.
No. But Archer will be one, I think, potentially, because obviously there's not much threat of bouncers in India as much as in other places. and-
Anyone else you'd like to add?
No, I'm good. But
Right, you want to
obviously,
add?
he's only played in like England, South Africa, and I think New Zealand. So he hasn't really played in the subcontinent before.
All right, your time's been cut because you've spoken about 2 people.
Yeah.
Ian?
You're
Okay,
done.
sorry.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. The person I've picked because if they have a terrible series, I'll look like a bit of a genius, to be honest. So I've gone with Joe Root. Against all the stats, all the trends, whatever you look at, it says he'll have a good series, he's in good form, he's good in India, he's good against India, he's got really good averages against all of India's bowlers.
I'm sorry. Are you trying to support your own argument, or?
No,
What's
so
Wait,
what
Ian,
I'm
wait.
actually saying here
Wait, so Ian, is it factual for me to say you're basically calling Root the housing market crash of 2008?
is,
Is that supposed to be funny, David?
Sure.
Well, it's the
not
same
like
thing,
it's-
like.
It's not like I think it'll happen, but if it does, I look like pretty good. So that's what we'll go with.
All right. Yeah, so I've got Bumrah.
Oh, that's stinky, mate.
What, Jofra Bumrah?
Jafra Bumrah.
Yeah, I've gone for Bumrah. He's fallen off a bit, to be honest. I think he averaged 13 or something in 2019, but since then he's averaged above 30. I just don't think he'll have the same impact that people are expecting. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. Okay, so
Predictions.
Predictions.
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah,
quickly.
quick.
Ian?
Do I need to be quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, just say your number.
Just say
Say your
it.
number.
Okay, I'm going with 3-0.
Dylan?
Got 3-1.
Sab?
I've got 3-0 as well.
I've got 3-1 like Dylan. So.
Okay, they're
Cool.
all to India, by the way.
They're all
Yeah,
India.
yeah.
They're all India. Yeah, so quite comprehensive wins for India. Yeah.
If it's 3-1, I think England would be happy with that.
I think that's
What I was
neutral. That's
considering-
neutral. I'd say that's pretty neutral.
What I was
That's
considering
still-
was, are we underestimating England somewhere? Are we looking past something they've got? And I came to the conclusion,
No, we're
no,
not. We're not.
they're gonna get smashed.
Yeah.
They-
There's no
they-
hidden
they-
gem there.
yeah.
There's no hidden gem.
I think there will definitely be at least one match where we lose by a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think I'm almost certain there's one game where India bat first and gets 650 for 6 declared.
Yeah.
I'm 100%
we lose
certain.
by an innings. or
I mean,
something.
I'd say there's
definitely do see
potential
it.
for one of the games where like we kind of just fall off the cliff, do rubbish, but that we still manage to pull off a draw.
Thing
I
is
don't
that
think you'll be
India
able
have
to get
lost
a win.
one game. India's lost one game at home since 2012.
Yeah.
That's
It was
Was that
2012.
against? Is that against
Yeah.
Australia?
no against it was against Australia and a
Sounds
2-1
like-
series win.
Yeah.
They had 28 wins, 5 draws, and 1 loss since
Not bad.
2012.
Jeez.
Whereas
Yeah,
when you look
very
at that,
Crazy, that's crazy.
when you look at
Okay.
it, make
Shall we-
3-1 looks a bit optimistic, to be honest. But you know,
Okay, boys, we're running out of time, so debates quickly.
yeah,
Okay.
quick debates. The debate
Quick
section.
Do you-
We'll give you like
Explain,
1 minute.
uh,
1 minute for the debates.
Yeah,
Alright.
debate
Explain the
based-
format.
Okay, I'll explain. Basically, the debate is a quick. We'll just do 1 minute for each side. We'll give our opinions on a topic. So today we've got Ian and Sab are arguing Bumrah or Archer, who will have the better series, and I've got a debate with David about Root or Kohli. So do you two want to go first with Archer and Bumrah?
Yeah.
And at the end, we'll decide who we think's going to do better.
Okay, should I go first?
So Sab, I'll give you a
Yeah.
minute.
See, whatever. You
Alright,
can go,
so
yeah.
I'll just try and go quickly. So obviously Bumrah's got 79 wickets in 17 games, an average of 21.6, and strike rate 47. And his first class, he averages 23.6, so he's obviously pretty decent in India. Archer, on the other hand, averages 31.1, at an average of 63, so much lower. So even though he is definitely a very good bowler, his stats aren't as good. And also, he's only played in England, New Zealand, Australia, as I said before, so he's never played in the subcontinent. And he doesn't actually get much swing. He only gets 0.55% or something swing, compared to like Sam currently gets 1.05. So he's not a very good swing bowler. And also with the old ball in the summer of 2020, he only took 1 wicket and an average of 95. So obviously that's not very good either. And in the most recent test, only 16% of his balls were over 140 kilometers per hour. So his speed
Right.
factor and bounce factor is not as going to be that good.
Yeah. All right. Ian.
Okay, so my main point, I guess, is that Bumrah is in shocking form, in my opinion. You said earlier, Dylan, he'd averaged 13 in 2019. Since then, in 2020, it's 27. Not that bad, but by his standards, not great. And then in 2021, 45, which is pretty rubbish. That translates to in ODI cricket as well. So he's clearly not bowling anywhere near his best right now. And include the fact that he's coming back from injury, we don't know how close he'll be to his best. He may be really far off his best. Archer, on the other hand, coming off a break, a quite lengthy break, so he'll be very fresh. He'll be bowling close to his best, sure. Secondly, this series, in my opinion, is definitely a lot more important for England than it is for India. And whenever Archer's been in an important series, he has delivered. The most notable examples being the Ashes, where he averaged 20 with the ball that series and contributed to England being able to draw that series. They wouldn't have drawn that without him. You said that his paces have been down recently. I definitely think that's due to the fact that he's been over bowled by Root. You could see in those series he bowled similar amount of overs to Stuart Broad, who he just shouldn't be bowling anywhere near the same amount of overs as. He should be used in like short 4 or 5 over spells. So yeah.
Can we
That's
do
my
like
point.
can
There you
I
go.
do a
I'll
quick
leave it at
rebuttal?
No.
Yeah.
Well, he got to
No,
rebut
yeah,
my
give
points. He
like-
got to rebut my
Okay, you have
points.
like 10 seconds.
Okay.
Literally 10.
Wait, so you said Bumrah averaged 27, which is true, but then Archer's career average is 31.1, so it's still worse. And also, you said 2021 he averages 45, but I'm pretty sure that was like 1 or 2 tests max before he obviously got injured. So I don't think that's a
It
true
was
reflection.
45, but it was enough for him to concede 134 runs.
Right,
Okay.
but I feel like
Okay.
that's a little bit misleading.
Dylan, who
I
do
just
you
think-
think's going to do better?
I've got Joshua. I just think Root will use him better, to be honest.
Well,
So,
you,
yeah.
you just given examples
I've
where
got-
Root hasn't used him well, so
I know,
Sab,
but
Sab.
he historically hasn't, but I think
Yeah,
he
yeah.
will.
Hell,
because-
man.
I've got Bumrah doing better. But, okay, next debate.
Alright.
Root or
Dylan.
Coley this series?
Dylan's
Shall I
for
start?
Root. I'm for Coley. Dylan can go first.
As I said, I've been a bit of a Root critic last couple of years because he hasn't kind of lived up to what he was 2014, 2015. But what he did against Sri Lanka was just so amazing. It was the best I've seen him bat since 2014, 2015 when he was averaging in the 70s. Yeah, he's always been good against spin. He averages 57 against India. So yeah, I just think he's going to have another great series. He's in great form, and Kohli's, missed the last few games. So you could say, yeah, he's got something to prove, but I just think, he's had a rest and he'll be a bit more rusty.
Yeah. So I've got Kohli. I mean, you have to look much past 70 average at home, 1300s, and he's always turned up for the big series. I mean, you saw in England in 2018, he's the best batsman in the series, and it's not even his home conditions. And in Australia in 2018 as well, the only player that was better than was Pujara, and Pujara, I mean, what he did there was just special. So, Kohli's the best batsman in the world in all three formats. I mean, apart from Steve Smith in Test, probably. And yeah, I don't see Kohli doing poorly, and I definitely don't see Root doing better than Kohli. Root had a great Sri Lanka series, and he might carry that form into this series, but I don't see him going anywhere near Kohli in terms of runs. So,
Yeah.
Sab, Iron.
I'm
Who do you
obviously
think?
gonna back Kohli, and I think if anything, that rest would probably be good for him.
Mhm,
So,
mhm. We don't care. Iron.
yeah.
I picked Root as my letdown of the series, so obviously I'm going with Kohli here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to
Right.
argue against Kohli, but
Yeah.
watch out for Root.
Does that?
Anyway.
I agree that watch out for Root.
Yeah, so
He's got a stinker.
Right, so is that all you've got?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's our game. So yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Come back next week. Maybe Jimmy Kenny make an appearance.
Special guest. Special guest.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
We'll
Fingers
have to
crossed.
banish him to the breakout room.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for listening, and
Oh, and don't forget to buy the merch.
merch Taylor's. Yeah, Taylor's own. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can go follow our social media accounts. So what's our Instagram again?
Iron.
That would be Umpire's Cool Podcast.
Yeah.
That's that.
What was the TikTok account again?
TikTok is just umpires.cool.
And then we also have a
Yeah.
YouTube, but just Umpire School.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks,
Hope you
everyone.
enjoyed.
Next week.